The 6-year journey has been very protective. We feel we have fulfilled all the objectives of the initial objectives of the Africa Multiple in reconfiguring Africa studies, and we can show that from the work that we have published. So we really feel that we have been a worthy partner in this journey towards fulfilling the objectives of the project.
IRS affiliations is one of those research sections which gave Moi University a good image in the region and internationally, because we were able to visit physically during that corona period. We were able to visit Kigali, Dar es Salaam, Rwanda. We have visited University of Lagos, we have visited South Africa. So you can see that affiliations is the backbone to the reconfiguration of African studies.
It's one thing that we must appreciate about the cluster, multiple cluster, coming up with the idea of reconfiguring African studies, is that it has opened huge possibilities for us to engage with this thing, and that we are moving beyond the way that it had initially been configured in the initial proposal of the cluster. That we are now beginning to reimagine new areas of studies that were initially ignored as part of knowledge in Africa.
What we liked about this proposal is that it was giving us even opportunities to actually move out of Moi University and do your research somewhere else, like among the 4 centers. It had a component of what they are calling early career researchers. Early career researchers are people who have just finished their PhDs. So we had a lot of our colleagues who had just finished their PhDs, but they had no opportunities to actually develop their academic careers.
So for Moi University, so far we have 9 of them. We have 9 early career scholars. We have 6 doctoral and 3 postdocs. All of them come from different departments within the university.
We've been hosting what we are calling artists in residence. One thing is because we also believe they will add value to not only what we are doing, but also to university programs. Okay, so we have had so far 3 or 4 residences, artists in residence, right? And I don't know whether you know the writer Sukis Vanna is one of our first artists in residence, and she did wonderful work when she was here with our students who do creative stuff, creative programs and so forth, writers, poets and so forth.
My time as an artist in residence is one that I'm grateful for at the Moi Africa Cluster Center, because it gave me a chance to learn a lot. It was a very fulfilling experience, and most importantly, I got to shoot an amazing documentary on the life of a South Sudanese comedian from Kakuma refugee camp, Maketh. It's called Comedy and Canvas, and I'm excited for the possibilities that it holds out here.
Welcome home, welcome home. Here is the place where our lovely place where we live in Kakuma.
The other thing that I almost forgot, of course, is the fellowships that we have. Like every year, we do 2 or 3 fellowships. What that means is that we have people coming to African Cluster Center at Moi University to do their research for 6 months or 3 months, depending on their own commitments. And this, again, has to be collaborative. So when they come here, they already have people they collaborate with. And they spend time here, and those who want to give lectures, they do. Of course, it's obligatory that they do what we call exit workshop at the end of their stay here. But what has been interesting is not even the exit workshop, for example, but also the interactions that happens, between them and our own researchers and students. Remember, we have what we are calling individual projects, right? Where individuals collaborate in their individual capacities with other researchers elsewhere. But as a center now, we do like yearly, for example, workshops that can actually bring in people to Moi. But more than that, we actually, like, every year we do an international conference. Sorry, so far we've as we come to the close of these projects, we have actually done like 4 international conferences, and this was really very exciting, so to speak. In fact, one we just did it just after they had allowed people to go out of their countries, just after COVID had slightly like eased. So we did the first conference, and we really had a big participation. But our greatest one was one that we did in 2023, which is what we are calling inaugural Moi University International Conference on African Studies. And we really had participations from, the different locations, even people from Brazil who had been collaborating quietly also came in. Yeah, and if I look at the impact of all that, I can see that we can look back and say, it was worth joining this research project.
Ordinarily, in the Africa Colloquium, we bring in people from outside Moi University and we listen to them. This is part of enriching our own research culture. The vibrancy at Moi ACC and at Moi University School of Arts and Social Sciences is enhanced by these kinds of activities. So we are always getting new things through Africa Colloquium, through workshops, and so on. Now, the other obvious output, of course, from research is a publication. Yeah, so, and we are doing well. We are counting, I think, 25 titles.
So I think one of the huge advantages that come from this project actually is that mentoring, that we are able to assist some of our junior colleagues to move out of the, the local locations of Eldoret and realize that there are so many other things that can be done elsewhere in connection with other people. But we're happy that this project has actually helped quite a number of students to do their postdoctoral, their doctoral work through the funding of the project.
And for me, I think I appreciate it in the sense that it has given me an opportunity to be able to collaborate with colleagues who are not necessarily within the cluster, within the cluster, or within this other focal point in African cluster.
Museums were our starting point. You get to the museum, look at the materials that they have, and then trace them back to the community, either in form of a picture or that particular item, or we would find out from them what materials they had, and then we'd choose one, and then discuss about it and its role in the community, the knowledge, and so on and so forth. In the process, we have collected about 170 items. Initially, we thought we'd collect 10 per site, but when we got into the community, we found there were more materials, and people are willing, especially when they had were from the university, and the materials would be used for educational purposes. So we got quite a good collection from the field. In the process also, we've been able to network with these museums to the extent that they have invited us in their major occasions. Like in Cabernet, we've been there twice, when they had what they were calling stakeholders meetings. And stakeholders meetings here included researchers like us and members of the community where we collect the materials. For the mausoleum in Nandi Hills, where we were also doing the collection within the county, the curator there has also been inviting us to be part of their major annual commemoration of Koitalel Samoei. Through that collaboration or that network with them, we realized they were also having ideas about expanding the mausoleum into a full-fledged museum, and they wanted our input. And alongside our participation in the Koitalel Samoei commemoration, we also met members of the Samoei Koitalel family. And one of them came to us and said, you know, in Uasin Gishu County, we've been thinking of starting a museum. And this time, they wanted to tie it with the Barisioni, a son of the Koitalel Samoei. The land where it is to be put up has already been set aside, but they wanted us to think along with them what concept they can adopt in terms of the architecture, the design of the museum itself. And that is the discussion we've been having with them. Now that the mausoleum in Nandi Hills is a shield representing Koitalel Samoei, the one for Barisioni, we've been toying around with the idea of a structure that looks like a spear because of his status and his position as a warrior. In Moi University, the library has also been very keen in participating with us, and we've been having the person in charge come to our meetings, come to our workshops. The idea is that we can assist them formalize that collection. We realized that that collection, the way it was done, they took it the same way that they purchased books. So they have an accession number, but that accession number really is about tracing a book, but doesn't have the history of who owns or who gave those materials and so on and so forth. We have also been discussing with them how to formalize that particular center by linking them to one of the museums. So far, we've had very successful discussions with the Italian Museum and the Cabernet Museum, so that they can show us the way how we can formalize it. So far, that is the way we've been looking at this particular project as also having an impact within the community. Because we realized there are so many students, primary and high school, who come around Moi University, and their major interest usually is the collection. When they get into the library, it's the collection. And therefore we thought we could assist the library and the university by formalizing that particular center, documenting what they have already collected, going backwards from their records, so that we can formalize and formally have information about those items that they collected.
Through this, you get a lot of experience. You get to know what happens in the other, other centers or other regions of the world. And apart from experience, you also get knowledge. You get a lot of information about what is going on, and also getting these partnerships, gives us strength. It also strengthens our centers and our sections. So it is very important to collaborate with the others. You cannot work in isolation. You cannot progress when you work alone.
Gender and diversity is very critical in our research endeavors, because it is through it that we can be able to actually produce a robust kind of research that is actually going to be useful in solving our societal problems, because of the kind of inclusivity, the kind of reflexivity that has gone into it, that is actually critical in changing and transforming our environment, or actually our world. So what I can say is that we cannot really afford to leave others behind, because the whole concept of gender and diversity is that no one should be left behind.
As a researcher, I'm always open to the surroundings. And that is what I believe in, that if you are a scholar, then you should open your senses, all the senses, to the surroundings in order to identify issues of concern in whatever field that you are. The issues that you can study so that they have some impact in people's lives around you.
For me, it has really, first of all, made me realize that one can do so many things for others. You get what I mean? Like, you really feel like you are part of a people that are growing up with you, right? But personally, of course, it has helped me to also network with a lot of other groups of researchers outside Kenya.
My stay at the Moi ACC has been a marvelous time. I was able to meet a lot of people and have many conversations. I learned a lot about Kenya. I learned a lot about the research I was trying to follow here. And I think these 3 months passed on really quickly, and I hope I can come back sooner than later.
The secret to good academy is collaborating, is sharing. And that is why we are grateful this idea of African clusters. It promotes mobility of scholars, mobility of our students, and mobility of ideas.
The beauty with this process of renewal this time around, I told you the first time we were just invited as African universities to bid and join University of Bayreuth as partners. But this time around, the conceptualization has been so innovative. The African scholars who are nestled in these African cluster centers, have been part of the process of renewal. What that means is that they have been part of actually coming up with concepts and ideas, to drive the next phase of the Africa multiple. In other words, this is now where we feel like we are not being allowed to say what exactly do we really want to do in terms of research from the different locations in Africa. You get it? So there's nobody who is just assuming that I think Africa needs this kind of research agenda and so forth. We are the ones now creating the agenda in this new proposal, and we are really hoping that it goes through, because then we feel like, we really participated, in terms of coming up with ideas and concepts, that actually we as African researchers think are very critical and crucial, for us in the continent. We thank our partners, especially, of course, the University of Bayreuth. This has been a wonderful working relationship, and which anyway did not start with this project. We had a lot of work with the University of Bayreuth, a lot of collaborations. I am an alumni of the University of Bayreuth, so I feel like I was always back home whenever I had something that touched the University of Bayreuth. And so we thank them, and especially the dean and the deputy dean, that's Professor Seseman and Professor Utevendla. They have been very, very supportive. And the whole team in Bayreuth, let me say that it's not easy when you see the kind of work they are doing. We really thank them because they've been very supportive. And of course, my fellow directors from the other clusters, University of Rhodes, University of Lagos, and Joseph Kisibo, we have been like a family. And one of the things that, now that you mentioned that this collaboration has done is that it has brought us closer as African universities. And this was one of the amazing byproducts of this project. And everybody is happy about it. When people talk about the University of Lagos, it's like a second home for them. Those who have gone there for fellowships, about, I think, 8 scholars have been there for fellowships. Others have been there for other things like workshops and so forth. And yeah, you can see that, that connection, it comes out so well. And I think it's something that will outlast, the project itself. Yeah, and we are hoping, even as we think of this renewal, we're also hoping that we will actually have, constructed something that will last. And I'm happy now that you talked about university management, and I forgot this, that the university management is actually willing to upgrade us from just a center to an institute. And we have already started the processes. There's those processes that you do the concept, then it goes through the many bodies in the university. But we have had express support already by the Vice Chancellor and his team, that we have no problem in upgrading new people into an Institute of African Studies. So that would be a huge win for us and a huge win for the project.